make an assumption. So I'm going to talk about sewage right to know with my little poo guy, thanks to Savvy and Sons. He's a happy little poo. So there's some governing documents that relate to sewage right to know, and most of them you guys have heard about before. 22A, 420A, the regulations of Connecticut state agencies, your NIPD's permit, deep memos, all this stuff coming out, but there's a new regulation. So, and this should say 22A 450, not 448. So there's a new statute that requires additional reporting. So this reporting requires that anything, pretty much, I mean, they list a lot of stuff, but anything over 100 gallons or hits the water has to be reported to the spills unit. It's a whole new thing. It's a whole new regulation. And so we've added it to your sewage right to know reporting stuff. So why is sewage included? Because in 22A 448, it defines sewage as any substance. So any substance that's released, it's how you guys got caught into this new regulation. That we went back and forth in the agency, trust me. But now you guys have to report it. So there's two legal requirements. One is that you report it to spills. The other is that we have the real-time notification. And then there's that third requirement that you would notify us electronically for your requirements for your NIPD's permits and everything else. So on your tables, Yvonne passed out a bunch of stuff. One of them is a flow chart. This is the first part of that flow chart. So a sewage release is found. Within 1 hour now, you have to make a determination. Did it reach the water, or is it over 100 gallons? So if it did, you have to call the Deep Emergency Response Unit. I always forget their name. I always just call them spills, so forgive me. You have to call spills within 1 hour. So within 1 hour, you have to call them. And if you don't, as we found out, they will write you a notice of violation. And eventually, they can actually fine you. So make sure you make that call. This part of the decision tree only meets that new regulation for Connecticut General Statutes 450 and doesn't meet your NIPD's requirement, and it doesn't meet reporting under 22A 433 and 22A 424 and 448. So, did it reach the water? Is it over 100 gallons? That's your first decision tree. The second one, did the release reach water, or may it come in contact with the general public? So this is your notification requirement. If it does, you have to contact the chief elected official and local health official of each affected municipality downstream. So we had a couple discussions, especially with the bigger plants, for CSOs. MDC reports all the way down the Connecticut River. They just covered it. They said, why not? So every time they have a CSO, they're making those notifications. So this only applies to Connecticut General Statutes 22A 424, which is the public notification requirements. And so all sewage bypasses must be reported to DEEP. So this is decision tree 3. So did you have a release? Yes. You have to fill out that electronic form. So within 2 hours, you have to make that initial notification to us. And most of you guys are pretty good about that, I gotta say. The portion, so this portion just meets your NIPD's permit, it meets the 2 regulations and the general statute, and all bypasses must be reported in that system. Now, there was an exception made, right? Lex talked about this exception that if it was on a private property and you guys don't have any control over it, you don't have to report it. I will make an exception to that. If you have an order from EPA, they may require you to report those also. However, when we go through as deep and count the number of releases you've had per year, we will not count them against you. We won't look at those and be like, oh my God, look at all these backups, if they weren't caused by your system. So don't feel bad reporting something. If you think, oh my God, do I have to report this? Always err on the side of reporting, because you can call us and we can delete those that are put in accidentally. We can delete duplicates. We can help you fix reports. We can show you how to make them so it's not going to count against you. Always report, and we can work it out afterwards, okay? Always err on the side of caution. And then the next one of my biggest problems. Please go back and close your reports when you're done with them. Please. I still have reports open from 2022 that I'm chasing people for. Please go back and close your reports. So you have 5 days. That regulation has never changed to close that report. So please go back and close those reports. You don't have to call spills again. Once you call spills once, you're done. But once you fill out an electronic report, you always have to go back and close it. Now, some of them may be open for a long time, like when we were trying to get some grates and stuff during COVID, it took a couple of years to get some of those parts to fix things and close those reports out. But the SSOs and the CSOs hopefully can be closed within 5 days. So you came here, it's pop quiz time. So you're notified of a sewer overflow greater than 100 gallons that reached the water. Within 1 hour, who do you have to notify? Yes, I heard the right answer. The emergency spills unit, emergency response unit. I'll get it right. Spills. So there's a release in a public park next to the sidewalk and a child's play area. Who must you notify within 2 hours in addition to DEEP? Yes, somebody said it, the elected officials and local health. You can't forget those guys. There's a big box on our form that I'll show you in a few minutes that you have to fill out. Please notify them. If this had been a spill that's over 100 gallons, you would still have to notify spills. But within 2 hours, it would be the electronic report and the chief elected official and local health official. So the next one, there is a 10-gallon burp from a manhole that was immediately cleaned up, right? Must you report it? Come on, guys, must you report it? Yes, you do. You have to report all spills. Even if it's a 10-gallon burp from a manhole that you cleaned up immediately, you have to report that. All spills must be reported, even if you clean it up immediately. No covering up your poo. So yes, report them. All right, that was the pop quiz. I'll give you guys like a 50-50 on that, I don't know. That's why I'm not a teacher. So this is the new part of the form on the SSO and CSO forms. So filling in those boxes shows that you met the regulation requirement for notification when necessary. Anytime a spill reaches the water, including a CSO or NIPD's permitted bypass of your system, these notifications must be made. So you all have the flow chart, and I believe she also passed out regulations with additional information on the new spills requirement. So if it reached the water, and you have to notify the CEO and local health official, you give us the date and time, and how they were notified. I sent an email. I made a phone call. It's that simple. So, record of spills notification, you want the date and time you called, you want to know who you talked to, and you want the case number. And you're going to want that for your records too. So when you fill this out, this is a record, you have a record. This way, when we get calls from the public, we get calls from newspapers, my favorite people, we can show that these notifications were made and they were made timely, okay? So this covers everybody's butt. And then we've given you some links where things are. And then we have some questions and contacts, who to contact. So all the sewage right to know questions should always go to deep.sewagerightoknow, SRT, @ct.gov, because then there's 4 of us answering those questions in case I'm not around. And then if you have any additional questions about the spills reporting requirements, Lori Salabai and Gary Trombley oversee those sections of DEEP. So you're actually notifying 2 separate sections that we don't have a system that links that, oh, you contacted them or you contacted them. So right now, you'd have to contact people differently. So, any questions for me? No, we did good, Mr. Poop. So you guys understand the new requirement. You gotta notify spills. I know it's one more thing you have to do, but you guys understand that you have to do it? Yeah, I see some head shaking. Yeah, that's good, that's good. Are you guys awake? Ah, okay, all right. Because, you know, I think I'm holding you up from cookies, aren't I, or something?
And yeah, just a quick question. So you remember that time I had an issue, I had to try to report it through my phone. Is there a way to improve it or create an app so that if we're in the field and we're not at the plant, that we can do it on, because you remember when I tried to do it through my phone, it just didn't work.
If you have a smartphone, I know I can do it on my phone, but it is unwieldy. If you have an iPad, you probably can do it in the field, but it really is computer-based. We haven't looked into doing an app yet, but that's a good one, Ted. If for some reason you can't report, you can call into the office, and I know some of you have my home office number too, and we can start your report for you. That's always like the backup. You know, that way we've started the report within 2 hours. We make a note that you called and that you were having these issues, and so we start the report for you. And I finished some reports for people too.
Just a quick one, because this comes up in South Windsor quite a bit. I feel like 80% of the time we're reporting, it's when there's a power loss, UV drops off, generator kicks on, UV takes 10 minutes to come back up to full strength. We're getting some disinfection, I'm sure. Is there any consideration to having that? Because when I'm doing the reporting, it's basically my choice is like raw sewage or partially treated.
Well, it's still partially treated.
It is yeah,
I mean,
I get it. I just wasn't sure if sometimes as you're going through those forms, the options that you have on the drop downs.
Would you like one that says treated except for disinfection?
I don't know, something like that. Sometimes I feel
I can add that for you.
I just feel sometimes like if we're really trying to be transparent, which we are, it's important for the public, if somebody's looking at that, to really understand what they're looking at.
So instead of partially treated, you'd like an option that says treated except for UV?
Minus,
or disinfection,
I'm imagining
treated except for disinfection?
I think that would be cool, because I'm imagining that other plants run into a similar situation.
I can do that for you.
Thank you, Ann. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Oh, I see. Wait, no? Oh, way over there. Way over there.
Hi, Art Simonian. Oh, from Madagascar.
I don't know you. I'm sorry. What was your name?
Art,
No.
Art Simonian? Yeah. She knows me too well, I guess. What about some of the smaller plants that aren't manned 24/7, that the 1 hour notification, is that after they're notified, or is it after the bypass partially treated or bypass started?
I'm still going to go with our regs that say when you're notified. So like when you become aware of the bypass, you have 1 hour. Good question, though, Art. Good question. Anyone else? How about some of you youngins? We have all the old timers talking to me. Who's it? Lex? She wants to get it on camera. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's a question from Deep. Should every report that is begun be a 2-hour report?
Oh, tricky question. So in my 10-gallon manhole burp, you guys got there and you cleaned it up in less than an hour, less than 2 hours. You can go in and fill out a 5-day report and close it out and be done. You don't have to do a 2-hour report first and change it over to a 5-day. Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Well, I'm going to say this is Lex's last presentation as a Deep employee because she put in her paperwork to retire at the end of the year. So I'm going to embarrass her and say, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you.